Hey, good day, folks. Welcome to Answers Life. I hope everyone's doing great. Uh, the other day, I made a video talking about some of the reasons why many people are regretting home ownership. Now, of course, the majority of the people who are regretting home ownership are typically newer and younger homeowners. And some of you the other day made it a point to let me know that many of these people are also females, which online, that's how it may appear to be. But I'm pretty sure in real life you also have a lot of men, a lot of younger men that regret being a homeowner. It's just that generally speaking, you don't have as many men taken to TikTok or any social media. You don't have near as many men taking to social media as you do women when it comes to addressing whatever issues that they may be having. Like for a lot of men, if we have a problem, we just, okay, we might talk to a couple of close friends and some family about it, but other than that, we don't really. Not as many men are going to be posting their issues on social media. Not as much so as women. So I say all that to say there's probably just as many younger men who are first time home buyers that regret buying their first home. They wish they were renting. And I would say one of the big reasons why younger people regret being a homeowner it's not always because of affordability. For a lot of people it is, but I will also say there's also a fair amount of people to where it's not affordability. It's the fact that now that they're a homeowner, some of the spare money that they used to have to where they can just go out and blow it on going to the clubs, blow it on going to the bar, get with some of their friends and have a little bit of fun. That spare money that they used to have laying around back when they didn't have to worry about home repairs, they no longer have available. Because now they got to utilize that money for home repairs and ongoing maintenance and upkeep of a home. And some of the spare time that younger people may have had back when they were just paying rent, again, they no longer have that spare time because now it's going to be consumed with having to cut the grass. In the wintertime, having to get out and shovel snow for those that live in colder climates to where it snows. And again, a lot of times when people purchase a home, the home that they purchase is generally bigger than the property that they've rented, whether it be an apartment or a house. So now they have to spend more time cleaning the house. So with all that being said, you got a lot of younger people that play with the idea of letting their house go back to the bank. Now I remember at the tail end of the last recession, like around the early 2010s, you had a lot of people that were fed up with being a homeowner. You had all kind of videos popping up on YouTube. I remember during the early 2010s, like 20ish, you had a growing number of videos popping up on YouTube of people deciding to let go of their house, to quit paying on their house and let it go back to the bank. Who cares? This house is whatever, it's not worth anything. Like you had a lot of people talking about how their house was worth, for an example, and this is a generic example, but you had a lot of people talking about how they purchased their home for, let's say, $200,000. So their mortgage is for $200,000. But then when when the '08 recession took place, the house that they owed $200,000 for, now the value at that time, the value of that house may have went down to like $150,000. So you had a lot of people that were using that, and the fact that they simply did not want to maintain a house. They did not want to pay for the maintenance and upkeep of a house. It ain't that they couldn't afford to. Now, like I said, for these people, it wasn't that they couldn't afford to. It was just that they flat out didn't want to. So they decided to, you know what, F it. They decided to quit paying on the house and let the house go back to the bank. So they decided to go from homeownership to maybe living an RV life. Let's say that's one of the big reasons why the whole nomad community is the way it is today. Because I remember back during the early 2010s when the whole nomad community first started forming on social media. It seemed, I mean, you had all these new people just coming out the woodworks, just coming out of nowhere. They're going from home ownership to, they decided to let their house go back to the bank. And the money that they would have been using to continue to pay the mortgage, they decided to save up a chunk of that money before they got foreclosed on and got probably kicked out of their home by the sheriff. They decided to take that money and go and buy RVs. Or they may have purchased a van and did like a little van build to where they can live out of their van full time. Because their attitude was, F a house. It's not worth owning a house. I'm not gaining no equity off this house. I'm losing money instead. So that was the reasoning that a lot of people had during the tail end of the last recession. And then, of course, for some people, it was as early as 6 months down the road. They woke up and discovered that they really did not want to live the nomad life full time. They wished they would have kept their house. They wished they would have continued to make their payments. You have other people that it may have taken them a year or even a couple of years for them to finally wake up and realize that if they were able to rewind time and do things over, they would have kept their sticks and bricks and only been a nomad part-time. And sadly for a lot of these people, when they went back and tried to purchase another home, they were unable to because at that point, either A, depending on where they used to live, depending on what market that they were going to live in, by the time they went back to purchase a home, it was too late. Because you got to think, if you choose to foreclose on your home, it's going to take a number of years before your credit is going to be high enough to where you can purchase another home. So for a lot of these people, by the time their credit was high enough, they had a little bit of money, and they're ready to go buy another home, at least they thought they were, surprise, surprise, they were priced out of that particular market, and therefore they could not purchase a home in that market. And some people, they may have went on and purchased houses in other markets that were cheaper, but for them not as desired. For other people, they may have stayed in the market that they wanted to stay in. It's just that later on, the house that they purchased was significantly smaller. The yard was probably significantly smaller as well. And there may not have been as many amenities or as good of amenities as they were able to enjoy before the housing prices went up. So there's people that basically, in a nutshell, they regret walking away from their house during the early 2010s. By the time they came back, in some cases in the late 2010s or the early 2020s to buy a house similar to what they used to have, they couldn't because they were priced out of the market. Not to mention that a lot of these people, even if they wanted to buy a house even if they had the credit to buy a house, they simply did not have the money to make that down payment for their mortgage. Because the money that they would have had for that down payment, they most likely spent on buying their RV. And then once they bought their RV, anyone that knows about RVs knows that they stay falling apart. You stay having to make repairs on them. So with all that being said, a lot of these people, they spend their money on buying an RV as well as making repairs as time went by. Because when you take a recreational vehicle that's built like shit in the first place, and then you dog the fuck out of it by driving it all over the road, right? By driving it all over the road, and you got a lot of these people on YouTube. Well, some of these people on YouTube, they want to drive it off into the deserts and into mountains and just all type of crazy stuff. So by the time they done got done dogging out their RV, throwing all kind of miles on it, as a result, having to do all kind of repairs to it, the money that they would have had for that down payment for that house was gone. So they couldn't purchase the home even if they wanted to at that point. Or two, they're priced out of their market. So now a lot of these people, they only got two choices. A, they can go back to paying rent, which of course at this point rent prices are crazy expensive. Or B, they can continue to live their RV life, which a lot of these people, after doing it for a number of years, some of them, they no longer want to do it. So for those of you out here that you've been watching a lot of YouTube, you've been watching a lot of TikTok, and you've been looking at a lot of Instagram, and you see other people living the nomadic life, and they make everything look good. You see all the Instagram shots of them in the mountains and by the water and all that, palm trees and everything. And now you're thinking, man, I wish I was that individual. I don't want to have this house no more. I'd rather just let the house go back to the bank, and I'm going to buy an RV and I'm going to get out here and I'm going to shine. And a lot of you younger folks, that's exactly how y'all be thinking. See, some of y'all be thinking, you're going to buy this RV. Obviously, you're going to wish for the best. And when the best doesn't happen, instead the worst may happen. A lot of y'all automatically assume that, okay, you're going to just cry online to whoever watches your channel. You're going to go online. You're going to start crying. And then you're going to expect people to donate to your GoFundMe. And for some of y'all, that might work. But for some of you other folks, that's not going to work so well. And when it doesn't work so well, which for most of you, it won't work so well, what you going to do? Like, you got to think. You get rid of your house, you let it go back to the bank. I'm pretty sure some of you are contemplating on doing exactly that, even though you do have the money to continue to pay the mortgage. You gotta think. If you let your house go back to the bank, and now you want to live this nomadic life, or some of you might want to just go back to paying rent, which, okay, right now rent might appear to be cheaper than purchasing. But what you're gonna do when your landlord raises up the rent another, let's say $200-$300 for the next year? You gotta think about stuff like that. Or if you choose to go into the nomadic life, what are you gonna do when your RV breaks down in the middle of nowhere? And you do a GoFundMe, and you assume people are gonna donate, and then you look at your GoFundMe, and you get little to no donations. What you gonna do then? How you gonna get yourself from the side of the road into a reputable repair shop that repairs RVs? Which, from what I hear, some of those shops can take a long time to repair your RV. So while your RV is in the shop, are you gonna have enough money for a hotel room? And you know, how many days of hotel stays are you going to be able to afford? Hotels get rather expensive. They get rather expensive. And another thing that a lot of you younger folks especially need to consider is, before you choose to get rid of your house, I mean, honestly, I'm going to tell you, you guys have already done the hard work. You know, before you made that home purchase, you done what you had to do to keep your credit high enough to where you could even be accepted for a mortgage. You worked hard at your job to come up with that down payment that you were required to make for that, you know, for that home. So a lot of y'all, you know, you did that hard work. So I understand that a lot of you feel like you've been ripped off by your realtor, you've been lied to by your home inspector, you feel as if you're overpaying for your house, and while all that could be true, I would say at this point, unless you truly hate the house, unless you truly hate where you live, and you're willing to let the house go, you're willing to lose the money that you had to spend on down payments, and for many of you, unless you're also willing to lose the money that you put in towards making various home repairs. If I were you, I would not give up your house. I would keep your house. You see, all that going out with your friends and getting drunk, for all you ladies, all that going out with your female friends and going shopping and buying handbags and shoes and clothes and whatever women buy these days, whatever younger women buy these days, there's gonna become a point where you're gonna wake up and the older version of you is gonna be like, what the hell did I do? What the hell did I do? What the hell was I thinking? For all you fellas that think you want to go back to paying rent, and then you're going to take that extra money and you're going to go out with your friends, you're going to go to the clubs, you're going to get drunk. Maybe you might go out here and throw some rims on your vehicle or some custom paint on your vehicle. Or you might buy a whole nother newer vehicle. Again, typically, for most people, as you age, you mature. And when that day comes where you mature, you're going to wake up one day and you're going to be like, man, what the fuck I bought this car for? This car ain't even worth shit no more. I mean, when you bought the car, you was happy. You was excited, man. You was ready to drive that car, play your music up all loud, show it off to the females. And then when you wake up a few years later, you go, man, it's like, man, I don't know why I bought this car. I don't know why. And then you're going to be wishing that you can take that car, go trade it back in, get your money back, and then go back to go back to being a homeowner. As opposed to buying this car and having a hefty car payment for many of you, and now you're back to paying rent. Your landlord raises up the rent price $200-$300, and now you're really tripping. Now you really would have wished you would have kept your home and continued to honor your obligation that you made with the bank to make your payment and keep your home. And of course, for those of you that genuinely are done feel on hard times and you truly cannot afford your home, I mean, obviously, if the only thing that you can do is to let your home go back to the bank, you got to do what you got to do. But for those of you that are on the fence and you're contemplating, do I stay being a homeowner or not? Do I stay being a homeowner or not? Do I stay being a homeowner or do I go back to paying rent? Do I stay being a homeowner or go out or would I rather live full time as a nomad? For those of you that are on the fence about stuff like that, you minus will keep your home. You minus will just continue to make those payments. Now, one thing that you can do, now it's not going to be, now what I'm getting ready to say is not going to sound attractive to the ear, But what I'm getting ready to say is gonna be some real shit though. But one thing y'all can do is you can pick up some overtime at your current job if it's available. You can always work a second job. You can always work some side hustles like gig work for an example. And you can use that method to pay off your mortgage early. I mean, most people that buy a house sign on a 30-year mortgage. You can go out here and do a little bit of legal hustling, and you can pay off your home early. Like rather than 30 years, you can pay off your home in 20 years, or better than that, you can pay it off in 10 or 15 years. And then once you pay off your home, you're going to be glad that you did not give up on home ownership. You're going to be glad that you stayed the course and you stayed dedicated and you kept your home. Because many of you that are on the fence about giving up your home, you're not on the fence about giving up your home because you genuinely want to give up your home. You want to give up your home because you fell in love with the idea of being a homeowner, but now that you have to face the realities of homeownership, now that you gotta face the responsibilities of homeownership, a lot of y'all don't want to grow up and be responsible and do what you have to do to keep your home. A lot of y'all want to be kids again. A lot of y'all want to go back to being 19, to where you out on the block hanging with your peoples, and you out here just doing whatever. You know, there comes a time where people got to mature, people got to grow up, people have to start looking at the future. People have to learn how to be able to see beyond the tip of their nose and be able to see into the future a little bit. And I can almost guarantee that for those of you that are on the fence and you're contemplating on giving up your home, I guarantee within a year you're going to regret that decision. Within a couple of years, you're going to definitely regret that decision. Now, some of you won't regret it. You know, you'll be glad you did what you did. But many of you, within the first year, you will regret your decision. Because when your landlord raises up the cost of rent, or you choose to become a full-time nomad, and when your vehicle continues, like if you're in an RV, when your RV continues to fall apart, or if you're in a van, after a while, it's going to get old to have to live your entire life full-time 365 in such a small space like a van. Now, I mean, granted, there are people that do it, and they generally do enjoy doing it. But I would say for many people, they find out within the first, if not within the first 6 months, within the first year, that they really do not want to live that van life full time. They'd rather do it part time and keep a home base and keep a home base. That way, whenever they get sick and tired of van life, they can just park their van at their home, relax a little bit, and then when they're ready to take off and hit the road again, they hit the road again. Like for me, that's how I'd rather do it. I learned early that I did not want to be a van lifer full time. I only wanted to do it part time, which is why I will always keep a home base. So I think the majority of you that are thinking about giving up your homes, like I said, I can't emphasize this enough. Do not give up your home. Keep it. Continue to make those payments. You've already put the down payment on. You've already put the down payment in. Many of you have already made some critical repairs. So at this point, you might as well just keep the house. Keep making the payments. Pay it off early. That would be your best bet. Because, and there's been situations to where people gave up their house that they owned and they chose to become a nomad, And they found out that being a nomad wasn't always cheaper than living in sticks and bricks. By the time you factor in the poor gas mileage on many of your rigs, as well as the constant maintenance and repair that most RVs are going to require. And then on top of that, if you want to use all the appliances on your RV, like your water, for an example, or your electric, either A, you're going to constantly be spending money on diesel fuel for your generator, and since many generators are typically loud, you're not going to be able to self camp. You're going to have to probably park at a truck stop or something. Or B, you're going to have to go and pay for a campsite, which anymore that can get rather expensive. So there's been people that have found out that when it comes to being a nomad, it's not cheaper than being a homeowner. It could actually cost you more money compared to being a homeowner. And you will also have a lot more headaches. Because at the end of the day, if your RV breaks down, or even if you're van life in it and your van breaks down, your house basically is going to be sitting in some repair shop. And during the time that they're repairing your home on wheels, now you're going to have to pay money to get a hotel. Now, for those who really have pets, you got dogs, you got cats, there's a lot of hotels that do not allow pets. They do not allow, or two that may allow a dog, but if you're a cat person like I am, there's hotels that do not allow cats. So if you run into a situation like that, it's going to make getting a hotel that much harder. And when you find a hotel that does allow pets, from my experience, either A, the hotel is going to be downright nasty, or B, you're going to pay a premium price for the privilege to be able to have your pets in the room with you. As where if you were a homeowner, some of those pressures would be relieved. Now, obviously, if you're on the road and you're a homeowner and your vehicle breaks down, you got to do what you got to do to house yourself and to house your pets if you have any. But at least if you're a homeowner, like if your RV or even your van, let's say they give you a call and they tell you, hey, ma'am, hey, sir, your transmission is bad, or something major goes wrong with the vehicle to where you may not be able to fix it right away. They might have to have your vehicle for a hot second to make the repairs. At that point, if you're a homeowner, you can go somewhere, get you a rental car, and just drive back to your house. And then when when the RV is ready, you can drive back to pick up your rig. As where if you don't have a home base, now you're going to be stuck having to pay for hotel rent, which that can get extremely expensive. In many cases, more expensive compared to renting an apartment. So hopefully I've got across to at least some of you out here of why, if you're currently a homeowner and you're on the fence about letting your house go back to the bank, hopefully I've gotten across to some of you to not let go of your house. And again, I'm not talking about those of you who are on hard times and you genuinely cannot afford to keep your house. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to those of you that are on the fence. You have the money to keep your house. You just choose not to because you want to go out with your friends. You want to buy a new car. You want to go shopping and buy handbags and all that type of stuff. I'm talking to y'all. So hopefully you guys listened, at least you listened to enough of this video to understand why you should not give up your home why you should keep your home, continue to make the payments, pay it off early as possible. Hopefully, I've gotten across to at least some of you. All right, folks. Stay blessed. I'll catch you guys on the next one.